So what gives us CIG? A 4.0 preview, a preview of an early access, the version Alpha 4.0. This should be a big step. We will see if that is a big step or a big gap. And Proxus writes, we wanted to provide a small update before we go too far into the winter break, so we are starting this thread and we'll be periodically dropping additional information here as it becomes available. As many of you may have noticed, the 4.0 preview environment has experienced numerous issues, some of which have been cleared up and some that have not. Since opening the environment, our teams have been keeping an eye on how things are progressing to ensure we tackle emergent issues to the best of our ability. While we will aim to have a more in-depth breakdown after the holiday, there is a brief list of some of the significant issues that have had corrective action taken so far. Global lag. Once players were jumping into the live-scaled environment, we discovered that some aspects of typical player behavior were spamming the infrastructure more than expected. A series of hotfixes were deployed to reduce the system's impact, resulting in improved interactional responsiveness and faster login queue times. Missions. Next up, the mission service encountered degraded performance after players had been engaging in missions post-launch. After the source of the issue was identified, another corrective hotfix was applied. Hangar spawn. It was discovered that the very recent change to allow players to spawn directly into the hangar has had some unintended reduction in overall performance of the backend infrastructure. Spawning directly into the hangar has been temporarily disabled so we can monitor the environment without this added load and ensure that this is the only cause of the issue. In addition of these, we are currently in the middle of rolling out services updates aimed at optimization, reputation and mission services, social system improvements, preventing concurrent unstows of hangars, and safeguarding against the current leading cause of hybrid crashes. The RSI knowledge base also has a list of known issues which can be found here. If the issue you are encountering most frequently is not listed in this thread or in the knowledge base, rest assured we are taking care. We are tracking many more issues and are prioritizing and fixing them as swiftly as we can. As always, while we are monitoring Spectrum, Reddit and other social media platforms, the most reliable way to help us identify priority fixes will be through engaging on the RSI issue council. Thank you all for the continued support. We look forward to improve 4.0 preview of early access experience in the days to come. Updates December 26th. We've begun rolling out hotfix to mitigate the leading hybrid crash. This should greatly reduce the chances to encountering a black screen. Okay. So this is known issue list. The list is huge. We could compare to the list of 324.3 to that side. Left is 324.3 and right is 4.0. These are the same. Some new came in addition. This is the same. Here's some changes. The hull C is consistent. The hull A is consistent. Vehicle inventory is inaccessible. Yeah, some are consistent, some not. Here we got quite some new issues. A larger list. Just a few. Yeah, these are the same. Many more came in addition. So nothing, no improvement, no fixes, no nothing. Just more issues. Inventory has less. in the number. Missions quite a lot. Arena commander we are not interested in. And some VoIP issues. Yeah. So this is the current state of issue council. And we will do our first login with Nomadoc. No, we do not, because it takes ages. It takes ages. 110 gigabytes for the preview. Live 107 gigabytes. Yeah, well then we will wait until 4.0 is installed, because they said, do we see the latest? They should update the picture. Oh, where the fuck is the fucking letter from the chairman? Is there not just a list where we can find all the letters listed chronologically? Why do we need to search that long to find that latest version of this fucking stupid letter? And why can't we? Okay, so letter from the chairman. Long ago, lost in the midst of the time of and CitizenCon, we showcased the first in-game prototype of traveling from the standard system to the pirate system via jump point. Much longer than anticipated development process. What was teased in 19 becomes a reality for all players when we launched Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 to the live servers 5 years later, as part of what we could call preview of an early access. For the first time in our history, we will run 2 live releases in parallel. This is really interesting, each with their own progress and persistence. This means you'll have the unique opportunity to choose which version you want to dive into, at least for a little while. At this stage, we both want and need the high traffic of live release throughout test server meshing and the newly refactored systems that rely on it as they go through their final paces. We acknowledge that we did not have time to get all the mission types working. So if they do not activate that non-working and only the working, so the experience of the player base would be great, because they will have only working mission types before our holiday break, which is why we have decided to temporarily support 2 parallel live tracks. Alpha 3.24.3 will remain available, so you can play the missions and engage in gameplay loops that are not working to our new playability standards they're talking about standards. Meanwhile, the 4.0 preview will also be accessible from your launcher as a second live option. If you are not interested in previewing 4.0, you can simply select 3.24.3 from the drop-down and continue enjoying the current live build. This may feel like our usual PTU process, but there is one key difference. By running both builds in the live environment, we can take steps to ensure that your progress in 4.0 will carry over. Our goal is for anything you do and earn in 4.0 preview to persist without any further vibes, unless something major happens. Though we do not anticipate that. Not anticipate that. Longer than anticipated. Our goal is, how many goals did CIG communicated and actually reached? That said, it's important to note that progress made in Alpha 3.24.3 will remain tied to that version and will not transfer to 4.0. This allows us to maintain a clean slate for new systems coming online in the 4.0 preview, ensuring a consistent and stable environment as we look to deprecate in the new year. Yeah, they do not say when that will be the case. It's only be in 2025. As you navigate through Stanton and Pyro, you are now also navigating seamlessly through a mesh of servers that encompasses the entire game. Each planet, landing zone, or major stations is now covered by different game servers. Thanks to this technology, server boundaries are effectively invisible, even at our high levels of fidelity, ensuring smooth and uninterrupted gameplay. This means that server performance, playability, and overall health are now local to each of the nodes in the server mesh. Even dreaded server crashes are now localized to those regions with players in other areas of space or on planets unaffected. It also means improved performance as each server is simulating fewer entities, resulting in more responsiveness and allowing the game we are striving to create to finally shine through its content. How many times did they say things like that? 4.0 is not just 324.3 with server meshing, it also includes a lot of new content. With the addition of Pyro, we have further pushed our reputation system to include 2 competing mission chains that allow you to align with either headhunters or citizens for prosperity. This means areas that were previously neutral will become hostile or friendly depending on your choice. This decision will become even more important next year as we start to put a greater focus on storytelling inside the verse. Yeah, this is interesting. When the guilds coming up, this is just a pre-run of what will come later. We have also introduced contested zone within the major stations in Pyro, each heavily manned by a gang faction, Fire Rats, Horizon, or Xenothreat. These large, sprawling locations offer high-quality rewards in the depth of their vaults, but you will need to contend with the current occupants and either help or battle your fellow players. They are also home to the mysterious Pyro amalgamated component boards, which some say can lead to even greater rewards. Yeah, can, but doesn't need to. This type of content is an important milestone as we start to introduce different ways for players to progress in the game, with reputation and physical rewards being something we aim to push even further in future patches. And then they say playability. As we jump into the new year, our primary focus across our citizen teams is clear: improving playability. Okay. Our drive for playability surrounds 3 critical areas: performance, stability, and content. We understand that the live environment must be far more reliable and consistent, and we are determined to deliver on this. This sentiment many of you have shared, and one we wholeheartedly agree with, is that if the current game as it stands today ran smoothly with fewer obstacles and bugs, it will provide an unparalleled experience. That's why they set up a parallel verse. Over the years, we have experimented with different approaches to improve quality of life. Punishment of life, probably suffering of life, and tackling tech debt. To make debt in tech, so that's why they need urgently more money. However, the ongoing challenge has been balancing these efforts alongside with the introduction of new features and technology. Too often, testing new features within the same pipeline as content has led to unintended ripple effects, creating instability, hindering performance, and impacting overall gameplay. In some cases, new features that are not fully mature have delayed and releases of content or caused blockers that impact our progress. This has prompted us to re-evaluate our approach to feature and content rollout, focusing on steps we can take to bring the game to a better state while maintaining steadily delivering. And this is interesting, right? When was this letter published? To achieve our goals, we are making a fundamental change, decoupling feature development from content creation and general fixes. This means new features will no longer hold up content delivery or risk destabilization of the live environment. This approach will leverage the tech preview channel, which was reserved for major new pieces of technology like replication layer and server meshing, but will now extend to gameplay feature testing too. When a new feature is deemed complex or risky enough to require focused testing, we'll introduce a separate experimental EPTU channel dedicated to that feature. Testing in this isolated channel will allow us to refine and stabilize the feature without impacting content and broader development work. Only once the feature is fully greenlit will it integrate into a standard Evo, PTU, and live pipeline. Evo tardy, very, very early. PTU or experimental PTU. Yeah. Yeah. The team and I are determined to repay that faith, patience, and support by delivering 2 games unlike any other. Yeah, this is something. When we watched CitizenCon, they introduced the final picture of Star Citizen and is not even nearly in that sense that we expected and hoped they will release. We thought Star Citizen, CIG releases this buggy fucking early access version of Star Citizen, and now with Alpha 4.0 that already started with more bugs than the 324.3 not ended yet, in order to surprise all the players and even all the criticals that do not play or do not play anymore, to surprise them with hundreds of planets, with a few systems, and with few we mean more than a handful or 2 handful of systems, deliver a smooth experience, remove all the bugged missions, implement only working missions and stuff like that. This is what we would expect from someone who says games unlike any other. But yeah, unlike any other, how many other games are so bugged as Star Citizen? So if you ask that, and if you have answer, then maybe Star Citizen is unlike any other game. Alright, so this is what we are up against. And it is still fucking loading. But spirits and beer blushed.